Today's video highlights Cornerstones, which is an extensive cloud-based curriculum planner. This platform includes content resources for all the subject areas, assessment and reporting. What else, I hear you say? Well, listen to the founder, Simon Hickton, in how you and your school could save many hours of curriculum planning. This platform works with your school administration software, so there is not the laborious task of typing in class and pupil names, for instance, for tracking and reporting. Cleverly, timetabling is also included, which not only assists the supply teacher but the head teacher and governors in learning walks and deep dives in an area of the curriculum under investigation. Now, I can see many opportunities for cross-curricular approaches whilst taking the pain out of planning and administration. Listen on. Simon, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the NAPE website. And I'm really interested in your company Cornerstones because, as it says here, helping primary schools design, develop and manage their curriculum. So what made you sort of come up with that idea, Simon?
Well, as a sort of a primary teacher, then a senior leader, and then a head teacher for another 10 years,
Wow.
I saw how important curriculum was within school, that it was the key, and an engaging, creative curriculum that's well sequenced, absolutely key to everything. And I was always interested in the assessment side and wanting to integrate teaching and assessment fully. And that made me think, this can be done on a wider scale. How can you monitor and analyze everything? And then I met my partner in everything, Mel, and Cornerstones came to life. And from there, we've evolved into what we are today.
So you've been running this enterprise since 2010, did you say?
That's right. I founded it back in 2010. So we're 12 years and going strong now and working with lots and lots of schools.
Excellent. So you've clearly found that there is a need out there. You say lots and lots of schools. There must be a need out there for curriculum planning, sort of on an online basis.
Without a doubt, education is always evolving, as we've evolved, right from having just basically a paper-based product to having now a platform that has all the Cornerstones content on it and functionality too. Education's constantly evolving, changing. We look at the now the need for a very much a well-sequenced curriculum is there, and the need for support with that, support for wherever a school's at with curriculum and assessment is there.
That's amazing. In fact, if you like, you're being very green, because I can remember the amount of paperwork involved in developing policies on a year-by-year basis, and all the teaching material you had to produce, or the teaching planning, and now you've got it all online, which is amazing. Now we're going to look in that a little bit more detail, because on your website, Simon, I see you've got Maestro. Could you bring that up and tell us a little about it, please?
I certainly can. So Maestro is our online platform that provides the functionality for a school. And I'll just wait while you can see that on screen, Mike. Can you see?
Yes, I can see it. Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
It's an online platform. It houses all the Cornerstones content as well. So schools can actually say, right, we want to come for content and we want a whole fully sequenced, interlinked curriculum, or they can come and say, right, we've got a curriculum, we want to put it on a platform to be able to manage it, to monitor, to analyze, to be able to assess our curriculum, or a hybrid of both.
Yes.
So this is Maestro. As you can see, it's half-term holiday now. Probably the best way is if I jump into a project just to show you the type of resources that we provide. So we've just uploaded the latest and the last of our science projects, which fully completes our latest curriculum. And what you've got, if we dive in here, you can see that there's a clear sequence of lessons. And this clear sequence of lessons, they also come with an activity and actually resources. Because to ensure that you've got a broad and balanced and ambitious curriculum, activities have to be supported by quality resources. So if I just click on this one here, you can see that this here is a resource that's been designed specifically for that activity.
Yes.
And this is the sort of quality that we're talking about. And what a lot of schools are out there doing and have done is they've created their own resources, and one resource that they create for certain projects, for example, this is all the projects, all the resources that you would have in this one project.
Yes.
Including quizzes at the end for retrieval practice, etc.
Yeah.
But knowledge organisers are a popular one.
Yeah.
And that's an example. What that also shows you is they're the same images that you would have seen in that resource. So when it comes to retrieval practice, children are familiar with something, and that just helps them to embed that knowledge, that understanding, and everything that they're learning that as they progress through a project. And when they come back to it at a later date with the where it's fully sequenced and interlinked in the curriculum, they've got that real grounding that helps them with their learning.
I think it's useful for teachers as well, because it gives them a bit of background. If they're not sort of scientifically inclined, I think that's very, very helpful, almost like background reading. Yes, thank you.
That's exactly right. And what you've also got is you've got the ability to adapt to an activity, to bring in school, the context of the school, or any fabulous resource that you've got in school. It might be a person that is an absolute, you might have an astronaut that lives just down the road, or whatever, that you can bring in. You can make those adaptations to make it bespoke to your school.
Yes, that's
the
important.
Activities are linked directly to a program of study from the national curriculum.
Yeah.
Knowledge, specific knowledge and skill. And a teacher can even see right back all the way into nursery what the children will have learned through the school, or should have learned through the school, to progress to that position at year 5, because it is often an ambitious curriculum. So you need to know where the children have come from right way back from nursery, and where are they going in year 6.
Yeah.
And we're able to do that because the entirety of Maestro and the curriculum is built on a very comprehensive progression of skills and knowledge framework.
That must have taken a very long time to do. Yes.
It took about a year to 2 just to create the framework, to then build the curriculum onto the framework, so that all those interconnections and interlinks, not just within a subject, but between subjects, were created. And we did that for all the subjects. So from nursery all the way through to year 6, and you can see that they're linked back to a concept, because it's a concept-led curriculum, a concept or aspect, such as human body here and staying safe, and then further back to that global theme, that macro concept of humankind, which teased out 10 big ideas from the national curriculum when creating this. And you can even then see exactly where these should be covered, and in which lessons they will be covered. What you've then got is a timetable. And to make it easy for teachers, once you've created your own curriculum or used our content to create your curriculum, you've got a timetable where teachers can drag and drop lessons to make sure it all fits into the timetable.
I see.
And then all they have to do is click on the lesson. They've got all the activity, the resources and the details there. And then at the end of that lesson, or partway through that lesson, they can click the talk button, and it will assume attainment for that entire class, because it's connected to their management information system. Or they can say, well, I know my blue group didn't attain that, and I know my green group partially attained that. Click save and close, and that then is their assessment of that lesson done. And that will then feed into a full assessment package, so they can be making accurate teacher assessments in every subject. You can go down to pupil level as well.
Right. So how do you know? Say we take the blue group for a moment. It says not attain. Do you use, or does the school use its own internal tests or questioning on a sort of continuous assessment basis to know that that particular group haven't quite understood it, or those concepts and skills? How does that work?
Well, what you've got within the project, you've also got these the quizzes at the end. So it's
Ah,
ongoing.
right.
You can use the knowledge organisers. So you've got quizzes at the end. You've got knowledge
Yes.
organisers to check with the children. That's
Yeah.
giving the teachers, and obviously the work the children do, that gives the teachers this knowledge, and then you're building up over time with all this information.
Oh, there we go.
So at the end of a term,
Yes.
then you can say, right, okay, in geography or history, for example, or in the science, and we've
Yes.
got White Rose Maths on the platform as well. If you use White Rose Maths,
Mm.
you can have a look and say, right, these children have maintained exactly where they are. You can have a look at what they've done and what they have achieved. You
Yes.
say they've maintained it, but actually, you might say this child is no longer on track.
Yeah.
Click save. That's your assessment for that half term done, literally, but based on what has actually been taught
Mm.
and what has been assumed attained, and then the knowledge that that teacher has through the books and everything else, and the practice that they've done, the retrieval practice, etc. They've done, they're making
Mm.
accurate judgments to see where they'll need support.
So you've got the children's names and the year group. So that's must be linked to their school's information systems.
That's correct. It's all fully linked, so it automatically pulls down all the classes and all the pupils and the information, so that then leads to the full analyze and report package, a full assessment package,
Yes.
where you can see individual children and see exactly where they're at, what they've got, how they're attaining. So it's
Yeah.
bringing that teaching and assessment together, so it's live. So teachers know exactly where children are, what they're doing, and how they're actually attaining.
Right. Yes. Yes. That makes a lot of sense. And that's very useful. I mean, as a governor, your timetabling system is particularly important to us because we know if we're going for a learning walk, exactly when, for instance, science is being taught, which is one of my responsibilities as governor. So you can bring out the timetable, you can see what's being taught when, so you don't miss it
Exactly
effectively.
what's been taught when. You could even go back and say, what were they taught a week ago? See exactly into that lesson what was being taught a week ago,
Mm.
and you could actually see who's assumed attained it and go and check if they have.
Yes, you can
And
look at their books, you can look at the displays, and so forth. Yeah.
And you can even go back and say, well, what they're doing down in reception, I'll go and have a look. They've done that. You can click on there and you can actually see which pupils and go and have a
Yes.
chat with those pupils that have attained it.
Yes, and as far as a head teacher is concerned, if there's a supply teacher coming for a period of time, it's quite useful for the supply teacher as well as the head to check it's occurring. That what needs to be taught on almost a day by day basis
That's
with the
correct. And then
supporting resources. Yeah.
you could go back to the top level view, Mike,
Ah, there we go. Yes.
and you could go say, right, let's look at the top level. How are certain concepts taught through the entire curriculum? And you can
Yeah.
either look at a subject narrative all the way through. So, for instance, you could say, right, what's the history narrative through our school, right from nursery all the way through?
Yes.
Or if you said, right, I want to see where monarchy is taught through our school,
Yeah.
you could very quickly go to the concept search, type in
Ah.
monarchy,
Oh,
and you
that's
can
out of
see
date. It says Queen Elizabeth II is our current monarch. Yeah.
the good thing about that is we're just updating that now to make sure,
Yeah, I
because
bet
Bright
you
Lights Big
are.
City had the Queen Elizabeth. So
Yeah.
literally, we're about to do the updates for Bright Lights Big City,
Yeah.
and we're changing that project completely. Now that's
Wow.
happened. We knew it was coming, so we were prepared for that.
But that's the whole joy of this platform that you can actually change things very
That's the
swiftly.
beauty. Flexible for schools to make adaptations, and we can also make those updates. Used to be a
Yes.
nightmare when that happened when we were paper based.
Oh,
Whereas
I
now
will
we can
remember.
go in and we can make those changes and make it right, so you can see.
Yes, and it's particularly valuable for a school because they can reflect their particular context within this curriculum, uh, add their own resources, as you said, and I think there's an opportunity to import what they've already done in terms of curriculum planning. Is that right?
That's correct. They can build their own
There we
curriculum
are.
on
Simon
it.
Lee.
There's a curriculum builder, so they can actually say, well, we've got a fantastic project. They can build it onto Maestro, so then they
Yeah.
get all that functionality that they can do with it once they've built it on there. So yes,
And of course, they've got all the resources already, so that they
already
can.
there, because a lot of people say, well, we've got a project or the outline of a project, but we need some resources for it. Well, it'll be a similar project to this. You will see you've got a wealth of resources there that you can tie into this to support what you've already done.
Yeah, because what we don't want is stuff to be left in cupboards collecting dust, which could be particularly valuable for them to use at that particular time with that
That's
particular
correct.
subject. So that's terrific. Now, so thank you about Maestro. That's really helpful. One of the tab displays resources. Are they free, or is it part of a contract or license you have with the
You must
school?
be talking about the website.
Yes, I am. Back to the website.
So let me go to the website, and you must be talking about the resources tab here.
Yeah.
So if we look at our website, what we do is we do give away free resources. And I showed you a knowledge organizer for Earth and Space.
Yes.
You've got free knowledge organizers there just to give you a sample. And
Yeah.
also, it's coming up to November and Remembrance. We've got Fallen Fields as well, which a lot
Oh.
of schools use for around that time. And that is
Mm.
fully resourced and free for people to just see what we do and
Yeah.
just see the quality of it. So
Mm.
hopefully they will then give us a call and say, can you show us some more?
Yeah. It says full project, so that's incredible. Yeah, that's very helpful because, of course, then schools deciding whether they want to make use of the Cornerstones license can have a look at this first, sort of dip in before they make, if you like, the final plunge.
And we're more than happy to do demonstrations and show and talk to the school what's their specific needs with curriculum and assessment, so they can come to us. We can say what we've got may help them, it may not, but
Yeah.
it usually does. And we can say, right, this is how it would work for your school in your situation. This is how you would use Maestro, and
Yes.
that then is beneficial.
So it's a sort of form of continuous professional development to staff in that school because they can see how it's organised and whether the resources of Cornerstones will add to that. So, and you also have, I believe, support. So once they start the license, they have some sort of support as they go through using Cornerstones. Is that right?
That's exactly right. That's all part of the license. Is we've got curriculum experts that work with schools, because what we want to do is make sure that schools, right from the onboarding, that they're able to get the full use of Maestro. And we have live chat, which is basically on the actual website.
Oh, there we
Got
go.
live chat in the
Yes.
bottom there. So a teacher that just wants to know something quickly can jump on there. They will not come through to a robot. They'll come through to one of our curriculum experts who will be able to answer their question. And
Mm.
then obviously now in the world of Zoom and Teams and everything else and Google Meets, we can have online meetings to make sure the SLT know exactly what they need to do initially to get set up. And then as they're going through, we're available there for those online meetings. We do regular check-ins to make sure that they're getting the very best use out of what we provide.
Good. You've mentioned a license, and obviously there's a cost to this. Is that linked to the size of the school? How much the license is going to cost?
It is. We understand that schools, you've got schools of different sizes. We've got a school of 7 pupils and two schools of 12 pupils. And then we range up to 1,000 schools with over 1,000 pupils. So we price the license at from £500. The value of Maestro to us is £2,750. We see that's the value, and we've actually found that you can save schools
Yes.
money who are using assessment packages and they're paying for tests and things, because they're all included on Maestro, that we
Yes.
can actually save schools money. But we do huge reductions for those tiny schools as well.
Yes, well, yes. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to afford to use it, I suppose. But that's very good news, and I'll put up the details of that on the screen afterwards. So it says on the evidence tab. So if we go to the evidence tab of the website, that's it. There we go, evidence tab. It states that 1,600 primary schools have been helped, which is fantastic. It also, and this particular web page displays schools' case studies in terms of how they used and how effective Cornerstones was for them. Could you perhaps cite a particular school which found it very, very useful indeed?
Well, Queen Emma, I'll see if I can find that. Queen Emma always comes to mind. Queen Emma's always comes to my mind because this school has been with us for a long time. And basically, Queen Emma's, they were back then when we just had paper copies, and they've been along the journey with us into Curriculum Maestro and the new Cornerstones curriculum. And what we always do is work with schools to ensure that we listen to feedback and give them what
Good.
they need. And we've got obviously a development plan, but we love that feedback from the schools. So we can say in this one school, for instance, we're talking about, well, what we intend to do is never exactly what we actually do, and we need a way of showing this. And I said to the head, well, you'll be very pleased with, I'm just about to press the button with a new development that will show you the actual coverage as well. And then you'll be able to see and get into the actual learning that's taking place of what is actually being taught. And so Queen Emma's would be a good case study to go and have a look at.
I'm sure their head teacher was very pleased to hear that you'd added that. That sounds really helpful. Thank you for that. And obviously, viewers, if you want to read all about some of the schools and how they use Cornerstones, please go to that page. Now, also on the tab of so back to the website is the main website. It talks about the Curriculum Award. Oh, there it is up there. What's that all about?
What that is we love hearing from schools and hearing what they're doing, how they're enhancing what we provide and doing some amazing things with the children and the learning that's coming out of it. And this was just a way of tell us about it. We'll have a great look through it, and we'll pick two or three that have gone well and above what we would have even imagined sometimes, and we'll just reward those schools with a little bit of extra money, because we know how tight money is to actually say, oh, go and spend this on the children, maybe another educational trip or something you couldn't quite manage to afford in school, and just to celebrate what the children, the teachers, and the everybody's doing.
And of course, with educational trips, that can also be built into the planning of Maestro. So
it's there. We have a memorable experience where there's two options. One's the let me say the less expensive option, and one is the more expensive, maybe going out and onto a trip. There's always two options at the start of the main driver project. Yes.
Yes, well, that's great. Now, is there anything that we've left out you'd like to talk about Cornerstones?
I don't think so. I think it's just mainly how we are always trying to, we know how hard it is for schools, and how difficult and how time poor that teachers and senior leaders are. And we're always developing and evolving. And we love getting feedback from schools and saying, look, this is what we need.
Yes.
And it absolutely breaks my heart when I speak to head teachers and senior leaders and say, if I'd have seen this 2 years ago, it would have saved 2 years of my life, 2 years of my staff's life. And I wish we'd have seen it back then, because I can see even now how we can introduce it and incorporate to what we've already done to save us time. And
yes, I completely agree with that. From 20 years ago, the amount of paperwork, the amount of time it did for developing different areas of the curriculum. There's one area perhaps which I dread is the summer term when you're doing pupil reports. And I've just noticed you've got pupil reports there, so that all feeds into the pupil reporting system as well.
Exactly. As I said, it's about creating integrated teaching and assessment and analysis and the monitoring and everything all together. And what we've done is we've rated the beta version, because we know that most people use pupil reports in the summer term. but
Yes,
some use them at Christmas and have some through the year. So we like to release this early so people can give us feedback, and then we can make the necessary tweaks to make it perfect for the summer, because this will pull through all that information that the teachers are creating into a report that is that schools can make completely bespoke to their school. They can add their own notes, as much or as little as they want, so they can make it one side of A4 if they wish, but it pulls through what information they need to share with parents. And again, it makes it all as seamless as possible.
That's really good news, because it can be a bit of a headache pulling all sorts of bits and pieces to put on the report, whether it's SATS results or anything else. So thank you very much indeed for that. And Simon, thank you very much indeed for coming to the NAPE YouTube site today. And perhaps we can have an update next year, because I understand there's a book coming out about it. Is that right?
Always more. There is
always more. Always more.
Always more. And thank you ever so much for having me.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Bye for now.
Thanks.